Hi there, welcome back to the channel. So you might have seen autocomplete or auto suggestion in search bar like Google and many other search platforms. So in this video, we are going to implement that autocomplete or auto suggestion using JavaScript. So here's the demo of the project that we are going to build it. So consider this as a Google search bar, and as soon as I type here PH, as you can see, as soon as I type P, it is showing me some setup list, and as soon as I type H, so it is showing me only that sentence which is having the letter P and H. So this is what we are going to build it using JavaScript, HTML and CSS. So this is one of the most important feature that you will be building in your JavaScript project sooner or later as a web developer. So let's learn and see how can we build this. So without any delay, let's begin. So as you can see, I've opened my VS Code out here, and as you can see, I have this index.html, app.js and style.css file. So in this index.html, I have already written the HTML part of the code here, and then I have also written the CSS out here because I want to make this video more about the JavaScript and see how to implement it using JavaScript. You can pause the video and write the CSS and HTML, or what you can do is I'm going to link out the HTML and CSS in the description below. You can click that link and check the HTML and CSS. So in the HTML, it's pretty simple. We have this one div, and inside this div we have this search container class of div, and inside that we have this input element which is of type text, ID of search, and it has some placeholder stuff. And then we have one div which is containing this magnifying glass icon. So that's what it is, and this is the input that you can see here. And then we have one div which is of class suggestion wrap and suggestion. All right, so let me run this quickly out here and let me quickly show you. Let me close this, and as you can see, as soon as I type something, so earlier in the demo you have seen some of the list were shown out here. So that list is something that we are going to insert inside this UL in the form of li using the JavaScript out here, and we are going to show here. Okay, so that's what we are basically going to do. So let's get quickly start with JavaScript. So in before we do that, I basically want to grab some of the classes. Like I want to grab this ID, I want to copy because I need this in the JavaScript part, and then I also need this suggestion as well class, and I do need this search container as well. So these are the three things that I'll be grabbing in the JavaScript side. Okay, so let me quickly get that. So I'm going to name it as search input variable, and I'm going to grab that input element using document dot query selector, and I'm going to grab that ID. So for ID we use hash keyword, and so this is the search ID that I'm trying to grab out here, and let me quickly duplicate it out here, and this is basically going to be search container. All right, so let me make it search container, and let me remove this, and this is going to be the class of search container. So this is the div that we are trying to grab, the input this one, and this UL that will be grabbing out here. So let me remove this and write suggestion out here. Okay, let me remove this typo and let me get this suggestion, and here I'm simply going to say suggestion container. Okay, suggestions container. So that's what it is. So we have grabbed this 3 HTML element, and now what we have is, let me go to this. You can see here we have this search folder, and inside this we have this data.json folder. So if I open this, you can see I have this hard-coded JSON data that I have created. So inside this array it has got unique object, and inside this it has this key value pair where the key is the search, and it is having some values like I love physics, Ruby on Rails backend development, etc. So these are the hard-coded value so that I have created. You can mimic this as some kind of a database. So I'm going to bring out here, and so whatever the user typed out here, so what we are going to do is we are going to check out here. So we are going to get that letter whatever the user is typing. Right now let's say user is typing A, so we are going to grab that A from this input element, and we are going to check throughout this database, and then we are going to see whether A is present in this sentence or not, and whatever the sentence is having this A letter, so we are basically going to list it out. So that's how it is going to work. So let me get those JSON file out in the JavaScript here. So for that we need to listen whatever the user is typing. For that it is pretty simple. We are going to attach an event listener. So we are going to say search input dot add event listener, and we are going to use key of event listener. So that's what we are going to do, and we are going to call a function which is going to say filter suggestion. So basically that's what we are going to do. We are going to filter the suggestions. So let me quickly create this function. Let me define out here. So I'm going to say async. Why? Because, well, I'm going to call that data from this JSON file here by making an API request using the fetch keyword. So that's why I need to write this async keyword early first, and then let me write this function and filter suggestions. Okay, so and we need that response. So let me write const response equals to await, and we will be writing fetch. So that's how we are actually getting this JSON file data. So we need to name the path correctly. So you can see it is one step behind. It is having this search folder. So we are going to say dot dot slash search, and inside that search we are having this data.json. So we are going to name it as data.json. Okay, so we are done with this, and I made a typo. It is going to be response. Okay, ponse. Okay, now we are going to get this list of data, which I am going to name it here as suggestion list. So let me write this suggestion. All right, let me come here and write suggestion list, and I'm simply going to say await response dot json. All right, so this is how we are going to get that data, and let me log this data quickly and let me show you. All right, so let me log and let me show you the suggestion list. So let me come here and open my console and let me type something out here. So as you can see, as soon as I type, we are getting that JSON data. Now we need to filter this data based on the letter or the character that user is typing. So that is pretty simple. Let me quickly filter. So we are going to write suggestion list dot filter, and we are going to get the item, right? Unique item or the list item. So let me name it as list item. It sounds better. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to call a function here, right? So this is going to be a callback function, and this list item basically let me, you know what, let me remove this and let me make it a shortcut way. So let me remove the curly braces, and I'm going to say list item dot search. All right, and now some of you might be wondering why are we writing dot search, because as you know I am filtering out through this suggestion list. This is the suggestion list, and when I am filtering I am getting unique list item. So this is the list item, and every list item is having this key called search, and based on this key we are trying to get the sentences, right? So that's why I'm saying list item dot search here, and then I'm going to convert this to lowercase. Okay, so let me convert this to all to the lowercase here, and I'm going to check. I'm going to say dot includes. All right, and I'm going to check whether whatever the user has typed out here, so whether that thing is here or not. So for that we use this function called dot include. So how do we get that value, whatever the user has typed? That is pretty simple. Let me grab that value quickly. So for that we need to create a variable which is going to have a search value. All right, and let me take this search input and let me write dot value. Okay, so now, all right, I made a typo again. So let me write search input dot value, and now we got that value, and let me write this search value out here. And now as soon as users start typing something out here, what it is going to do, it is going to filter out this entire data, and it is going to check whether that user, whatever the user is typed, in our case here SAS is the letter that we have typed. So it is going to search whether this SAS is included in this list item or not, in this unique list item or not. and whatever the sentence which is having this SAS letter, that is going to pop up out here. So we are going to return out here using this filter, and we need to store that in a array. So here I'm going to list this, name this array as recommended list. So let me write it as recommended list, and I'm going to make this as an empty array as of now. And here, so whatever the user has typed, based on that, that data get filters out, and then that filter out data is something that I'm going to put it out here inside this recommended list. But before that, what we need to do is we need to check whether user has typed something or not. What if user has typed something and removed it, and now this search bar is empty? In that case also this filter suggestion is going to trigger, right? Because we have used this key of event. So for that case, we need to check whether there is some character or not. Only if there is some character present, that time we want to call this function and filter it out. If there is no character and user has simply hit the backspace, at that point of time it is no use of scanning through this, because it is not going to match and we are not going to display anything, right? So for that we need to use a checker using the if statement. So we are simply going to say here if search value, let me write this here, search value dot length. So the dot length is going to be true if user is typed, right? And then only we are going to filter it out. So that's the optimization that we have done here. So let me go inside the if statement and let me quickly paste it out here. Okay, so we are done with this. Now let me log this recommended list quickly and show you whether it is working or not. So let us verify quickly. I hope it is going to work. Now let me type something. Let me type RA, and well, it is showing me an empty array. There is some issue, so let us quickly debug it. Okay, that's a simple mistake that we have made. As you can see that the R is in capital letter, right? So and then A is in small letter. Here we have what we have done is whatever the data that we have got, we have converted all that data into the lowercase, right? Small case. Now all that data is in small case. Even this R is in small case, and here user has typed in the capital letter out here, and then when we are checking, it is not getting that capital letter R. So we need to convert this also in the lowercase so that it works fine. So let me convert this, and now it should work it. So now let me go here and let me type RA, and as you can see it is working. Now it is giving me this 4 set of data which is having RA. The each sentence is having RA here. So now what we need to do is whatever the data that we have got inside this recommended list, these are the things that we need to display here. So how do we display here? So for that we are going to create a function which is going to be named as show recommended list. So let me quickly call this function. So all right, let me remove this, don't save, and let me write this as show recommended list. And here I'm going to simply pass this recommended list data here, and let me quickly define or create this function here. So let me say function and show recommended list. Here we have got our recommended list. Let me copy paste it out here, and now that's how we are going to show. So basically what we are going to do is we are going to loop through all the recommended list. We are going to create an li, a list item, using the JavaScript, and then we are going to append or put that list inside this UL. So that's the goal here. So let us quickly loop through first. So we are going to say recommended list dot map. So let me write recommended list dot map, and we are going to say recommended item here, because well this we are looking through the unique recommended item here. And now once the looping is done, just create the li element. So creating an HTML element is very simple using JavaScript. We just you need to say document dot create element, and then it allows us to create the HTML element. So we just need to name inside this invitation comma what is the element that we want to create. So we want to create li element, so we have created here. Now this li is a basically li element. Now inside this li element we need to enter that data. So we are simply going to say li dot text content. So inside that li we are entering this recommended item data. So we are going to say recommended item dot search. So why are we saying search? Because as you all know that each recommended item is a JSON and it is in the key value pair, so it is having key as search. So if we do recommended item dot search, then we are going to get this data, right? So and these are the data that we are actually inserting inside this li item. And now since we have inserted the data inside the li item, what we need to do is we need to bring this li element and put it inside this ul. So how do we do that? That is pretty simple. We already grabbed this ul, right, which is having a class of suggestion, as you can see, and the variable is name is suggestion container. So we are going to get this suggestion container and we are going to say append child, and we are simply going to write li. So what does this mean? It basically means that inside this suggestion container you add a child. Append child means add a child element, and you just need to name what is the child element that you want to add. So I want to add this li. Now it is going to add all those li element inside this ul and it is going to show us. Now it should work, right? But let me find it out. If I type here, well, it is not showing me anything. Well, why? Because if we look at the css and you can look at the html first, this ul is having a class of suggestion, and if we come down here and this suggestion is basically here, let me quickly search throughout here. All right, so I guess the suggestion wrap or the suggestion one, so that one we actually meant display none, and let me quickly find it out. So yeah, this is the suggestion wrap, so we made this as display none, and whenever this suggestion wrap is going to have a class of show, at that time only we are making display block. So this is the suggestion wrap, so we are making it none. So here we need to add show class, then only it is going to show it. So let us quickly add that show class here. But before that, let me remove this, and here we are going to say this is the suggestion container, right? Search container. So and this is the div element suggestion wrap. So here we haven't grabbed that. Okay, so let me get this suggestion wrap. All right, and inside of this search container, let me write this as suggestion wrap. All right, and now what we are going to do is we are simply going to say here this search container dot class list dot add, and we are going to simply add the show class here, and it should work fine. So let us go to the browser, let me refresh and let me type r, and as you can see it is working. But here's the issue, so let me refresh and show you quickly. If I type r, it is showing me all the sentences that is having r letter out there. But if I type a, now the sentence, instead of filtering, it kept on increasing. Well, it is because the filter out here is working, but there is an issue, and the issue is simple. Like earlier when I typed r, it filtered out and it has given me this recommended list, and what we have done is we have created a unique li element and we have inserted this recommended list data inside this li element, and we have appended inside the ul, right? And now it is already there, and as soon as again I typed a, it is again giving me new set of filter, and again it is creating li, and then it is adding that li on top of that previous li element. So whenever the new filter is done, what we need to do is we need to remove all those previous filtered li element, and so that clearing part is pretty simple. We simply need to clear this li, which is the suggestion inner html. So suggestion, this is the suggestion container that we have. So here what we are going to do is we are simply going to say suggestion container dot inner html is empty string, and now what it is going to do is every time we go through a new filter, it is going to clear out all the previous li element, and then it is going to show us the fresh suggestion, and now it should work. So let me type r, and now it is giving me all the sentences that is having r letter in it. Now if I type a, now it is showing me only those sentences which is having r inside it. Now if I type Rajesh, now it is giving me only those two sentences which is having Rajesh in it. So now it is working completely fine. Now if I type mastery, so it is giving me only that sentence which is having mas in it. Now if I remove s, now it is giving me that which is having m and a. So the search is working pretty much fine out here, but there is a small issue or small bug that we have left out here. So let me inspect and show you here. So as you can see, this suggestion wrap is still having this show class, but it is not showing us this list because, well, the list is empty. When we are typing, it is empty, so that's why it is not showing. But we should not leave this show empty here. So if the input element is empty, we need to remove this show class as well. So this is a small bug. Well, it is not causing any issue here in this case, but we should not leave this bug here. We need to clean it even if it is not causing the any issue. This is a bug and it might affect if you are working on a large scale application. So let us clear this as well. So for that, we are simply going to check whether this input element is empty or not. Okay, and then based on that, we are going to clear. So here we are going to say if, and if the recommended list, if I'm going to say dot length, okay, and then I'm going to write not, that means if the recommended list is empty, because I have used not. So for that, in that case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply write, okay, let me remove this, and then let me write return, typo again, so return, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say search container, and let me copy this here, and then I'm going to say class list dot remove. Okay, so if the recommended list is empty, then just remove that show class. It is good that we follow the best practices. And now let me type R, and as you can see, it is added that show class. And if I remove, the recommended list is empty, and it is removed that show class as well. So alright guys, I hope you liked this video and understood how to implement auto suggestion or autocomplete in search bar using JavaScript. I'll come up with more such web development videos again. Till then, hit this video a like and subscribe to this channel.